into this thing. Thank you for everyone for participating. We're grateful for your involvement. And so here's our brief overview of our agenda today. You have a copy of the minutes. I sent that to you. Please take a look at that, and if you see any necessary revisions, you can let us know. You can let me know now, or you can send them an email, and we'll revise accordingly. We want to go over some of just the high points of what came out of that meeting, particularly for the benefit of anyone who will be joining us or who is joining us currently who was not at the July 25th meeting. So we're just going to hit the high points on that. We want to provide or present to you a draft timeline for the 2017 release of the index, and then talk about some of the next steps. And Chris Nelson, I'm going to turn it over to you at any point you desire, but particularly I think at this point to talk about some of the work moving forward. Chris is the chair of this work group. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah. I'll have to wing it, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can, we're all just kind of winging it, man. So that's good. And we want to talk about some of that work and get your reaction to it, give you a heads up on it. Some of the key points now, again, the minutes are not long minutes, but they go into more detail than what I plan on going on here. First, we talked about new constructs and measures. Just in general, we talked about adding an element to the index that would incorporate differential risks or hazards that are faced by the various geographic regions around the country. We talked about the sort of federal contributions in a kind of overall general sense. Federal contributions that would not currently be captured by state activity, because as you know, this index measures state activities, and so there are a number of things that we talked about, incorporating federal spending. There were a lot of different measures that we talked about, and non-monetary contributions in addition to the federal spending. So really, I think that as a way to kind of impose a framework on that, we're going to get to how we systematically want to attack this whole question of which new constructs and which new measures in the latter part of this presentation, when we talk about doing a crosswalk with other national preparedness frameworks. We then had a discussion about measuring uncertainty. I think there was agreement that we needed to incorporate and include measures of uncertainty, as we do now. But we had some conversation about maybe integrating a more rigorous approach using Bayesian techniques. And the sense in the room was that we should go slow, that we should take small steps, at least initially, look at some of those results, give some feedback to this group, and continue that conversation as we march toward a more rigorous approach toward measuring uncertainty. In the geographic area, that is to say new geographies or geographic regions, it is our intention to include DC this time. We did not include DC in 2016 index, and so as we're involved in our data collection efforts currently, we are capturing data for DC. We then had discussion about what to do with the territories, and so what came out of that meeting was the idea that, well, we should begin by doing an inventory of what measures are available for the territories, and then get back to the group and decide where to go from there. I can tell you that we have started that. I have a research assistant who is engaged in that activity now, and so probably the next time we meet, we'll have a better handle on how many of the measures currently have data for the territories, and that certainly will, affect probably, where we move with that. And then I should add that there was some conversation that if we do decide to fully embrace the territories in the index, we should probably consider creating like a special work group or a subgroup, maybe bring in some new people to think about that more in a more comprehensive way. In terms of alignment, and I don't want to get too far down on this because I think this is what we'll talk about toward the end here in terms of our work moving forward. But as you all know, there are a number of frameworks out there, preparedness frameworks. James did a crosswalk back, I guess, for the 2015 index. And we have another one that was produced by someone at FEMA that looks at this as well. And so we're thinking that, well, is this probably the sensible way to systematically and carefully think about new constructs and new measures by looking at the major preparedness frameworks that are already existing and try to identify where there are gaps or holes in the current index that can be filled by the addition of new constructs and new measures. Erica Martin on visualization and display gave us a long list of very good ideas on things that we could do and should do to improve the communications, usability aspects of the index. And so we're working our way through that now. We have turned that over to Anna, who works with the Stakeholder Engagement and Communication Work Group. And some of those we're actually, I guess we can check off the list. I think one of the things that Erica mentioned was that there should be a easy way for the data to be downloaded. And so since we came back from that July 25th meeting, we've been working with the subject matter, which is the group that hosts the website. And I believe now that it might not currently be on the website, but as of last week, they have the Excel sheet necessary. And if it's not on the website as I speak, confident it will be up there soon. And then in terms of next steps, of course, we talked about merging the model design and analytic methodology work groups, which of course we have done. And talked about the possibility of bringing in the stakeholder engagement work group as well. I think what we want to do for now is to at least let the members of that work group know about what's going on here, and certainly give them the option and encourage them to listen in and participate in this work group's activities. And then we're constantly open to new membership and your ideas of who would be good people to add into this group. And so we got some names, and we've reached out to a few people, and so we know that Lars, who's on the call with us today, and was there in Santa Monica, Lars is joining us. There were a few others who we invited, that somebody from APHL, Maureen Sullivan, who is technically, I guess she's not with APHL, she's a lab director in Minnesota. I got an email from her yesterday. She's agreed to join our group, although unfortunately she wasn't going to be able to participate in this call today. Any questions, comments? And again, if you have any additions, revisions to those minutes, just send them to me in an email. We'll get them in there. Okay. The second item on the agenda is the timeline, and so we have a more detailed timeline, which I emailed to you. But these two bullets, I think, are summarize the high points. We'll start with the second one right now. And again, I should emphasize that this is draft. It's proposed. It's tentative. There was a NAC meeting in D.C. On the 18th. I think that's on Thursday. And so, Glenn and Anna and Ann will be there with the NAC to discuss the proposed timeline. We're proposing a late March release date, and if you start backing up from that, there are certain things and activities that need to take place before that, obviously. And so when we look at a calendar, it appears that we have about 2 months, our group does here, to finalize recommendations for new constructs and measures. And that would be October 18th is the date of this work group's scheduled virtual meeting. And so we're looking to that as the final date for recommendations then on what any new measures or again constructs that should be included in the index. And we've had a few. We've had, I guess, a few email exchanges and one conversation with Chris, as I indicated. Chris Nelson at RAND has agreed to serve as the chair of this work group. And we've talked briefly about timelines and activities.
This is Jackie. Can I make a comment about the release date?
Yes.
The new 5-year cooperative agreement with HVP and SEP will be coming out in January, and we'll have 60 days to submit that. So that'll put us around the same time as the index release. And if you want to engage the preparedness directors for preview or a chance to review and comment, over that 2-month time frame, you're not going to engage them. So if there's any way you could slip that into the next month, I think that would make the index more successful.
Okay. Glenn, are you listening to this, Glenn?
Oh yes, I'm listening to this. So that's really useful to know. So you think those applications will go in beginning of March? Is that right?
Yeah. So Chris Cosmos is saying the release of the new application would be in January with 60-day turnaround.
Right.
And so that puts us into sometime in March.
Sometime in March, yeah.
So March will end up being not the best time. I would think would be better to project for a time that we could be successful.
Yep.
CDC has been known to slip on their dates in the past when they say something out. But I know they'll be fairly dedicated to getting that new 5-year cooperative agreement out. They're writing it all. So just a thought for consideration of the group.
No, that's very, very important. I think that definitely gives us a reason to rethink probably shifting things out to later is going to be the best period, because I know once that has been released, really that whole period, our preparedness directors are going to be
very engaged.
Have their focus elsewhere. Yeah, good,
right.
Great point.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Well, you can download that draft timeline for the 2017 NHSPI, but it's not going to be worth the pay. Don't print it because it won't be worth the paper that it's printed on, I guess. So we'll have to go back and huddle. And this is great information. Thank you, Jackie. And we'll figure out what a revised timeline, what a reasonable revised timeline should be. If you'll recall, last year, this year The index was released, I think, April 25th. So it was late April. The reason we went with March for the proposed date this time was because that was initially, where we were. Well, initially, I think we were looking for January, but then we kind of landed in March because we were having some data issues. We were problems getting some important data that we needed, and so it got pushed to March, and so that's why we kind of defaulted back to March. But definitely, I think that there will be a revision. Now, given that, let's just, for the sake of argument, Chris Nelson, assume that we're still going to, even if we push that final date release, that let's just, for sake of argument, keep with the October 18th date for final measure recommendations, and adhere to that. And so at this point, can I turn it over to you to talk a little bit about plans for next steps and crosswalks and all of that?
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. I think we ought to try to stick with our schedule. If we end up having a little room to go back and relitigate things, so much the better, but probably best to, try to get a little ahead of the curve if possible. So what we had in mind, and Mike, please jump in if there's anything I'm not getting right here. I found our email exchange on the topic. We basically have two meetings, including the one on the closing date. So we propose that we use the next meeting, which is September 20th, to have a robust discussion, probably a little bit at the kind of the conceptual and domain level. We've had some of these discussions before. This is a preparedness index, but on the other hand, the more we look at preparedness, the more we realize that preparedness has something to do with pre-event community status, with broader concepts of community resilience, things that in some cases are being tackled by other indices. And so I think it would be helpful to try to clarify even more than we have up to this point what the niche of the NHSPI is, where it perhaps builds on or amplifies what other indices are doing, where it leaves certain domains to other indices, et cetera, et cetera. So in preparation for that, what we're proposing, what we're planning to do is to, as Mike mentioned, build on the crosswalk that James had done, that the fellow from FEMA, I don't have his name on the top of my head, had done, to do a little more kind of conceptual thinking and get probably a slide deck, I'm guessing, out to the group 5, 6, 7 days before the September 20th meeting. And then we would have a discussion out of that September 20th meeting. I imagine there may be some additional homework assignments for myself and for the Program Management Office staff to track down details. And then I imagine we'd come back on October the 18th, I guess it is, to kind of really nail these things down. Mike, does that sound right to you?
Yes, Chris, thank you. That sounds exactly what we discussed, and I would just add that on the screen you'll see a list of national frameworks that we think are important ones and should be considered. There were a couple of others mentioned at the July 25th meeting, and those are listed in the minutes. But if there are others that come to mind, please share them with us. We'll, we've got a pretty full plate here, but we want to know, what you think we should be looking at if it's not otherwise shown here. And Glenn, is there anything that we should add to this?
I think this is, in terms of the alignment, I think these are some of the major touchstones that we definitely want to hit on. The other framework that I know is probably on some people's minds now, just because it is we're in the public comment period. Is the new framework that has been released in draft form for the hospital preparedness program, the HPP program. So I think we also want to take a look at that. That's still, somewhat of a moving target, but it certainly reflects kind of thinking about kind of where the next generation of the work around the healthcare end of preparedness and working with healthcare preparedness coalitions. That new framework is probably something we should take a look at as well to think how it may inform the index going forward. But otherwise, I think these are definitely some of the major touchstones.
Hey, thank you, Glenn. Does that sound like a reasonable approach? I put this question out to the group. Any comments or ideas?
I agree, but I also agree with the new capabilities that are rolling out for healthcare. They're really broad and they go beyond what's been done with the hospital or healthcare preparedness program at ASPR. So I think there'll be something for us to really look at and follow.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Okay, well, if there are no other comments, I suppose this adjourns our meeting. Is there, if Chris Nelson, you and I will have to huddle and kind of follow up on division of labor here, but otherwise, if there are no other comments, going once.
Well, Mike, yeah, I might just propose to everybody that you start pondering this question of what the niche of this index is vis-a-vis the others. We will do some of the detail work through the PMO, of course, but start pondering that.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Okay, well, with this, I'm gonna turn it over to Glenn now. And ask him to adjourn our work group meeting along with Chris.
Great. Well, again, thanks to everybody for a great call. Please, keep your thinking caps on and keep your cards and letters coming to us as you have additional ideas around refinements to the index as we move forward. Our National Advisory Committee is getting together later this week, and so we'll be briefing them on the ideas this group has come up with over the last month, and also reconnecting them with the issue of the timeline. So, coming out of that meeting at the end of this week, we'll have some updates to share back with you about kind of directions from our National Advisory Committee standpoint. So, thanks so much, everybody, and we'll look forward to connecting soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.